Bill King seemed like such a larger-than-life character from the outside. As somebody who worked with him for 10 years, can you describe his persona for us?
Well, I'll tell you just a little story of something that happened just briefly to me, Donny, and that is that Bill King, and to say that Bill was a Renaissance man is really a cliche. It almost doesn't do him justice, and everybody always says, well, Bill was a Renaissance man because he was so diverse and had so many interests, but Bill and I had an interest and shared a kind of a common interest in art. Bill was a fabulous painter, but not many people knew it, and very few people ever had the opportunity to actually see his paintings because, number one, he was so modest, he didn't think they were that good, and number two, he didn't want anybody to like his paintings because he was Bill King. He wanted them, if they were going to like them because they stood on their own, and so he didn't even show his paintings. There might have been a couple times when he had them at an art gallery down in Carmel. I'm not even sure his name was attached to them. And my wife, I had a birthday recently, and my wife was able to call Bill's stepdaughter, Kathleen, up in Marin County. And my birthday present was an authentic Bill King oil painting, a beautiful landscape that really kind of almost looks like something one of the Impressionists would do. So I'm in my den right now, and I've got an authentic Bill King painting, landscape, and it's just gorgeous, beautiful. And it kind of blows you away to think that somebody could be that talented and to be as well-rounded as he was.
What were some of his other quirky interests?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, people always want to talk about his eating habits because he was a voracious eater and he had a huge appetite. He ate almost anything. He loved to have Cheetos for breakfast. And one of his favorite snacks during the games, it might have been during one of my innings, he would go get some popcorn. He'd smother the popcorn with onions and tomatoes and nacho cheese sauce, and he would eat that during his off innings. But he was a real patron of the arts. He was on the board of directors of one of the ballets, the school in ballet in San Francisco. He was a wonderful sailor, sailed the Black Sea, sailed to Hawaii, I think at least twice. So his interests were many, and he had great interest in politics. He would get on the airplane on the charters, and he would just surround himself with, 5 or 10 pounds of newspapers. And after a 5-hour flight, he'd go, that flight was too short. I was just kind of getting into this now. The rest of us are just dying to get off the plane. But everything that Bill delved into, he did with a tremendous amount of passion.
I've heard he often didn't wear shoes in the press box. Is that right?
Often? He wasn't a fan of shoes or socks. So, no, he would always take his shoes off during the game. Didn't matter how cold it was. And, of course, during spring training, he didn't wear a whole lot more besides his shorts. So, but he was his own man. There's no question about that. Nobody could tell Bill King how to live his life. He was going to live his life on his own terms.
In the time you spent with him in the booth, what were some of your favorite calls of his over those years?
Well, the thing about Bill was that he was remarkably prepared. And even in doing the manager's show, during those years he did the art house show. And then eventually Ken Maka took over for art. And even watching how meticulous he was in the way he would prepare just for that 4-minute pregame show, at a time when he had certainly earned the right to mail it in. He had gone beyond establishing himself. I mean, the most iconic broadcaster I think who ever lived in the Bay Area. But yet he was just so passionate about his preparation. I was thrilled, Donny, that a lot of Bill King's calls gained some recognition because of Moneyball. You hear the wonderful call of Scott Hatteberg's home run for the 20th consecutive win. I think might have been his signature call during his time with the A's. There was an unassisted triple play. Randy Velarde at Yankee Stadium playing second base. He called it like it was nothing. I looked over at him and I thought to myself, I'm not sure I could have done that. And he did it like it was just second nature. So he was a phenomenal broadcaster. Of course, it's been well documented that at the same time he did the Warriors, the Raiders, and the A's.